So there I was, just sitting there, like I usually do, and then I noticed in my inbox that I had a couple messages. All of which were the subject, what my favorite game was. So, I decided to actually answer you all. So here is my top 11 video games of all time. Yes, right, 11. Now, don't go into a hissy fit if a game you like is not on this list. This is my top 11 and I am limited to the games I've actually played. I mean, I had to leave out at least another top 11, and then some. Anyways, before we start, I have a couple of rules that will count for all my top 11s if I choose to make more. Number 1, one game per series. If not, I could have killed this entire thing with Mario games. Number 2, spoiler alerts. There might be spoilers in my top 11s, so if you see a game you have yet to play, or is currently playing, close your ears and look away. Although I will try to keep my videos spoiler free. More rules will be added over time.
You beat the game, you're feeling pretty cool. You stayed up all night and missed a day of school. You played like a champ, so what do you get? 37 pounds of jack shit. Well, look at your kid, your thumbs are big and red. You smell like a taint, your goldfish is dead. So here's your reward, excessive amounts of names you can't even pronounce the way it talks.
Number 11. Paper Mario, A Thousand Year Door. Whew, boy, we're starting off with a good one. Paper Mario, A Thousand Year Door is a game made for the Nintendo GameCube in 2004. It was a good game, it took the good parts about Paper Mario on the Nintendo 64 and introduced some new mechanics. The story was appealing and easy to understand, and it motivated you to keep going because at the end of that long dungeon awaited a new crystal star with a new power for you to use. The story in this game is that you are Mario, and the princess has sent you a mysterious map that apparently will show you the way to a fabled treasure, and on your way, you will meet lots of new friends and have an adventure! Something that has become quite a staple for Paper Mario is your partner. In this game, they are very appealing and just generally likable. You might even pick out a favorite. Now, unlike the other games, the combat is the best in the entire series. By mixing small quick time events, I don't really like using that word, but that is what it is. You hit a button and you either stop something bad from happening or something good. Another new feature to this series is the audience. That's them right there. They raise your star gauge, which is what you spend to use your star power. And with the star power, you either send down massive stars to destroy your enemies, you draw a circle around them to kill them, or you gain power-ups. I forgot to make an ending, so here is me saying it has ended, there is nothing more. Next!
So here's your reward, excessive amounts of names you can't even pronounce the way it talks.
Number 10. Half-Life 2 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2. I could not decide which one of the two were my favorite. So I decided that screw it, I'm gonna put both games on there. The story is that you are Gordon Freeman, also known as the Freeman. You are the one that is supposed to stop the Combine and take back Earth. But to do that, you need your friends Alex and Eli Vance, a mysterious man known as the G-Man, the horde of random rebels, and your friend Barney. Now, the only reason that episode 1 is not on here is simply that there isn't enough of the G-Man in it. But I will make a simple note that the episode 1 is still one of the best FPSs I have ever played to date, and it features one of the best AIs ever. All Half-Life games are known as first-person puzzly games. They are heavily story-driven and they have the greatest AI in any game I've ever seen to date, like I mentioned in episode 1. But I did not grow up with these games the same way I did the others, which is why it's not higher up on the list. The gunplay in this game is some of the best ever and it features some very interesting guns and mechanics. It's worth to note that this might change if episode 3 is ever released though. By the way, Valve, I really want that, so if you could get on that, that would be great.
So here's your reward. Excessive amounts of names you can't even pronounce.
Number 9. Red Alert 2. The story in Red Alert 2 is that the communistic SSR have been attacking the Allied forces around the world, and you have to either stop it or command it. To me, Red Alert 2 is the best RTS that's ever been made. Red Alert 2 has a really crappy story, however. It's held on with glue, but the characters introduced on the way are all awesome, with the exception of 2 characters, Premier Romanov and General What's-His-Face. For an RTS though, this game was very advanced for its time. Now I can already hear someone yelling, "Oh my god, you have to play StarCraft 1, it's so much better and more advanced." No! No! Bad commentator, bad! Now I grew up with Red Alert 2, unlike StarCraft 1, so that might be the reason why I didn't like it as much though. Now, Red Alert will always have a very special place in my heart and my childhood, because I grew up with that game, and it will always, always be better than StarCraft 1. I mean, look at that GI. It's so beautiful.
So here's your reward. Excessive amounts of names you can't even pronounce.
Number 8. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. In Bliss, you play as Mario and Luigi on a quest to rescue the princess's voice. Your search quickly takes you to the Bean Bean Kingdom, but on your way there, your cruiser was shot down from the sky and you are forced to go by foot to find out what happened to your ship and where Princess Peach's voice is. During your adventure, you'll meet such characters as Egad, Green Person Number 7, and Queen Bean, all of which will grant you no trouble at all and will gladly help you no matter the cost. Items in Melissus are clothing for the brothers, and the usual items like mushrooms, the 1-up shroom, herbs, and hold on, herbs? Herbs! No wonder Mario's always so laid back about the princess being kidnapped. The combat in Melissus has the same mechanics as a old school Final Fantasy game. Your damage, crit chance, and turn was all determined by your stats. For example, if you have high speed, you would attack first, and if you have defense, you will take more hits. And when your stash level is so high that the gods of Valhalla will fear you, even the shopkeepers will give you free items. Also, you'll crit more often.
So here's your reward. Excessive amounts of names you can't even pronounce.
Ayara, number 7. Kingdom Hearts 2. It's pretty much impossible to explain Kingdom Hearts to someone, so I'm just gonna explain the basics. You are Sora, or Roxas. Sorxis. You have 2 companions, Donald and Goofy. You are the Keeper of the Keyblade, which is a magical key that transforms based on the keychain it has. And you go to different Disney and some Square Enix worlds. The game is what I call a button-mashing beat-em-up with magic game. Yeah. So I'm not gonna spoil any story in Kingdom Hearts 2 because the story is that good. But there is one more thing that I want to talk about, and that is the Gummy Ship. Between worlds you have to fly through special gates, and you have to shoot everything in your path. The ship is customizable, and you can unlock more parts and shapes by doing different challenges given to you. Oh, and by the way, I want Kingdom Hearts 3, so if you could get on it, I would love you for it.
So here's your reward. Excessive amounts of names you can't even pronounce.
Number 6. Warcraft 3: The Frozen Throne. Remember when I said Red Alert 2 is the definitive RTS? Well, I lied. Instead, I chose Warcraft 3: The Frozen Throne. The reason why I chose TFT is because I never really liked the campaigns in the original, but in Frozen Throne they got really fun and really exciting. In Warcraft 3 you control a whole bunch of races, like the Blood Elves, the Night Elves, the Undeads and the Orcs. As the Night Elves you take control of mainly Tyrande Whisperwind and Malfurion Shan'do Stormrage. As the Undead though, you take control of Prince Arthas Menethil from Warcraft 3. As the Blood Elves, you take control of Prince Kael'thas Sunstrider in his quest to save his people. And finally the Orcs, where you take control of a Beastmaster named Rexxar. He is a total badass though. The gameplay is basically the same as Red Alert 2. For Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne just do it better. Why? Because to me, a good RTS combines story, gameplay, characters and flow. If just one of these are missing, they won't beat my dearly beloved Warcraft 3.
So here's your reward. Excessive amounts of names you can't even pronounce.
Number 5. Super Smash Bros. Melee. Now, throughout my childhood, I played a lot of fighters, and I mean a lot. Soul Blade, Soul Calibur, Tekken 3, the list goes on. But no fighter can compare to the awesomeness that was Super Smash Bros. Melee. Now, just so that you guys can get some insight on things here, I have gone undefeated since I bought this game. Think you can take me on? The character roster in Super Smash Bros. Melee is probably the one most people know, and in my opinion, the most overpowered ones. Mewtwo, Pichu, and Marth are just a few of the really good ones that were very difficult to really master, except Mewtwo. My favorite though is Fox, and as long as I use him, nobody will ever defeat me. Super Smash is a really chaotic game series, where you get items to either throw, use, pummel or slash your opponents with. The most known being the Pokeball, which spawns random Pokemon that either kills, helps, or puts a status affliction on you or your enemies. The maps in Melee are also some of the best, like the Great Temple, Big Blue, Onet, and Corneria, to just name a few. These maps were also brought over to the sequel Super Smash Bros. Brawl, that's how good they were. Something else that's new to Melee are the events. The events are special challenges that you can do for maps or trophies. The difficulty in the events range from piss easy to oh god, where's my colon over in that tree? Unlike Super Smash Bros., Melee has a story mode. The story mode in this game is basically just you doing a bunch of fights and then ending with a Bowser fight. And the only difference between it and Classic is the end boss, with you fighting Master Hand. But if you want a good fighter that you can play with friends for nothing other than smacking people into oblivion, give Super Smash Bros. Melee a try.
So here's your reward. Excessive amounts of names you can't even pronounce.
Hey, it's number 4. The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. In Majora's Mask, you are controlling Link once again in his quest to save the world. Only that this game was made during Miyamoto's off years. Okay guys, so there's a creepy one, this guy named Orbit. You have 3 days to complete the game, or he'll come down and explode the world. You're genius! The story in Closum is that you are Link, who have traveled from Hyrule to find a lost friend, Navi perhaps. And on your way, you're ambushed by someone in a creepy mask and the 2 fairies, Tattle and Tail. The new thing in Majora's Mask is that Link have to collect masks. Yep, you heard me right. Masks. There are even some masks that transform Link into different things. Like a Goron, a Deku Scrub, a Sora, and a God. So basically you're playing collectible the game. Have fun! Now in all seriousness, the gameplay is as standard as it gets for Zelda. You kill evil man to get thing, to kill the next evil man, or progress in the story. But unlike more recent Zelda games, this one creates an ambiance that cannot be recreated. Knowing that the moon is there staring down at you at all times is frightening, and at some points even discouraging. But you must prevail and fight the urge to quit, because if you do, the whole of Termina, even Hyrule, will be destroyed by the giant monster. What else is there to say? This game was freaking awesome, and I love it for it.
So here's your reward. Excessive amounts of names you can't even pronounce.
It's number 3. Star Fox 64. Star Fox 64, huh? Where to begin? Well, the story in this game is that your father, James McCloud, was killed on a mission to take down an evil scientist named Andross. You play as his son, Fox McCloud. You're a mercenary for hire, and with your mercenary team, which is made up of 5 people, Peppy Hare, he was on your father's original team, and barely escaped thanks to James sacrificing himself to save Peppy. Sleepy Toad, the crew's mechanic, Folka Lombardi, who is the crew's ace pilot, Fox, who is the team leader, and Rob the robot, who is just there. I suppose he flies the ship. The game plays like any other on-rail shooter, but at certain times in the story, you might go into what is called an all-range mode, which is where you get free control of your movement and you try to kill a boss, usually at the end of the level. The graphics in Star Fox 64 was some of the best that I ever saw on the N64. I didn't play that many games. The water reflected your R-Wing, the enemies were nice and very detailed, and the worlds were just colorful in themselves. Except for that water level. That shit was dark. Something sort of unique to this game was the branching path feature that it had. If you fulfilled certain requirements, you would do something other than the normal mode. For example, saving a teammate, going through upgrades, or just killing would take you to another boss, for example. Now, Star Fox also featured multiplayer, and boy was it awesome! You could have dogfights in the air, fighting with tanks on the ground, or shoot each other with laser guns. Pew pew pew! Oh, I mean, this game is one of the best party games I know. The multiplayer is that good. And, if you want it, it's on the Virtual Console. Alas! A reason to use thy why. Or we, if you're French.
So here's your reward. Excessive amounts of names you can't even pronounce.
It's number 2, it is. BioShock. BioShock is a first-person magic shooty pipe game. The story is that you were on a plane that crash landed in the middle of the ocean. Being the only survivor, you swim to a weird building in the middle of the ocean. As you go further into the building, you find a weird submarine that takes you to the city of Rapture, where you will meet a weird person only known as Atlas, who seems to be a very helpful and kind person. Your main enemy in this game are the Splicers. They are people who are addicted to something called Adam. Adam is what you use to buy the magic shooter things, or plasmids. And Big Daddies, They are people in suits that follow the little sisters around and protects them as they collect Adam from dead splicers. On your way down to Rapture, you find out that the man who owns the city is named Andrew Ryan. Once inside the city, well, you know what? I won't spoil what happens next. Scattered around okay, I'll stop that. Are audio logs that will give you some insight to their day-to-day lives or some backstory on some of the characters. So basically it's a bunch of collectibles that lead you nowhere. Something else Bioshock features is hacking. Hacking is essentially just a minigame, and getting good at said minigame will help you out immensely. What do you have to do? Are you ready for this? I mean this is some hardcore stuff. You make this! Go here by using this! Holy fuck, that's badass! Freaking pipes and shit, yo!
So here's your reward. Excessive amounts of names you can't even pronounce the way it talk.
Number one.
Attention all units. Suspect seen heading south. Block all major roads and capture the suspect.
Sonic Adventure 2. Didn't see that one coming, did you? Hey! Okay, I'll stop. Sonic Adventure 2 is the definitive game for me, mixing speed, controls, gameplay, graphics, and flow. When doing the single player, there is rarely a dull moment. You know, unless you play these two. The story is that Sonic has been framed for a crime he did not commit. Who was it? It was his seemingly evil counterpart, Shadow the Hedgehog. Yeah, that one right there. He needs the help from his best friend Tails to clear his name and save the world. Also, Knuckles has to find the Master Emerald pieces. This is reversed for the evil side though, where you commit crime, destroy the moon, and steal the emerald pieces. I don't really know what about it I find to be so great. As I mentioned before, it's a great mix of everything, but the game is not without its flaws though. Oh boy does it have flaws! For example, going back to play it now, the graphics have not aged well. One of the boss fights, Egg Golem for example, messes up the controls, making you do a homing attack instead of jumping, which caused a lot, and I mean a lot, of frustration. Also, finding the emerald pieces comes down to luck, other than pure skill. Or if you're like me, you check every satellite there is to get a clue on where they are, but you won't get a perfect score if you do. The before mentioned Chow Garden is a place where you can literally spend hours just toying with your chows, leveling them up in different stats and racing them against each other in the chow races. Or make them fight to the death! Also, something I should mention is that Sonic Adventure 2 got ported to the GameCube. The port itself was good and was the game I played first, although I have played the Dreamcast version as well, and it is my favorite. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the GameCube was basically just the same game, but this time on the GameCube, with a few tweaks here and there. Also the battle mode. Battle mode is where you and your friends either fight to the death with robots, race, hunt for emeralds, or race your chows against each other. Or make them smack each other around in Chow Karate. And that's basically all they added. Now, any of these games deserve the #1 spot. You might not agree with any of my picks. That's just fine. What might characterize a good game for me might be one of the worst for you. Take Call of Duty for example. People love that game, but I don't get why. You run around and shoot people, with almost no story whatsoever. Just like the Expendables for example. People like that movie, I don't. Of course, some people like that sort of thing. But if I want to run and shoot, or jump and shoot, I could just play Mega Man. I fail at it. Hard. Oh boy! A spaceship! Hi! Thanks for watching my video. If you want more of me, I have a Let's Play channel called Chronostics. Yeah, so go there. Watch my videos. Also, please leave a rating, favorite, and a subscribe on this channel as well. It will really help me out immensely and it will push me up the ranks. Also, huge thanks to Gerard Dragon Rider Khalil from The Completionist for helping me out immensely with how to do, well, this.